Hello, America. Hey, it's Big Lou here. Scottsdale, Arizona. Here we are in January 2021. And we got a request from one of our Facebook friends. Actually, it's a relative. Teresa Messina LaCastro back in Memphis, Tennessee, asked me if I would do a video on the perfect risotto. And naturally, how can I refuse Teresa? She's one of our favorites. So here we go.
And don't forget Sammy, our favorite firefighter.
She's married to Sammy. And as Mary Jo said, he's our favorite firefighter back there in Memphis, keeping everybody safe. So listen, guys, this is for you. This is the perfect risotto. All right, now I'm going to take it right to the end for you. But, I know everybody says it takes a long time to get risotto right. Well, it really doesn't. So it takes about 18 and a half minutes. So you're going to have to live with me for 18 and a half minutes. So as you saw, I just put some extra virgin olive oil, this stuff right here, into the pan. And I've got some diced shallots. They're going right into the bottom of the pan. Now, while we're getting these shallots warmed up here, we're going to talk about the kind of rice that you would use for risotto. What I'm using today is I'm using arborio rice. And the reason I'm using arborio, there's a lot of other very good rices for this. I'm using arborio because it's readily available in most of the local grocery stores. Now, you can get a number of different varieties of rice that work real well for risotto, but they might be a little more difficult to get. So, quite frankly, if we get the right results here on medium-high heat, this arborio is going to do the job. Now, we're going to let the shallots sweat a little bit in the pan first before we toast the rice, what we call toasting the rice. So what you want to do when you're toasting the rice is you want to start the cooking process, but before introducing the liquid to it, you want to start getting the starches from the rice to change and become involved in the cooking process. That's why we're going to toast it. But toasting for rice isn't going to be exactly what you might think toasting would be for other things. We're not trying to burn it. We're not trying to get it dark. We're just trying to firm it up and get it to start cooking from the outside in. So while we got to get this pan hot enough to do that. We're on medium-high heat with the shallots, and they're starting to go. Now, at the same time, I want you to see that what I have going here in this other pot is some chicken stock, chicken broth. We've got 33% less sodium, natural chicken broth. The idea here, though, is you want to get the chicken broth, you want to get that heated as well. When we add this to the rice, we want the broth to be warm. Now, this is an important thing. A lot of people, their risotto fails because they don't have those ingredients prepared properly. And one of the keys is getting getting the stock up to speed. So now what I'm going to do to this pan is add a little butter to the shallots. And that just adds another element of flavor to the olive oil. You know, you can opt to put just butter in there, or you can opt to have just olive oil. I like the flavor combination of both. Now, meanwhile, while this is going here, I want to explain the other ingredients we're going to add to the risotto once it's in the process of being, finally to the cooked point. And that's, we're going to add some grated cheese. We have grated Parmesan here, about a cup. What we're going to do is, we've got some mushrooms. They're going to go in another pan shortly, once we get the risotto moving along here. Okay, so now this pan is warm. All right, it's starting to get heated up here. And now we're going to add the rice to the pan. And we're going to start to toast that rice. Now what's going to happen is the rice almost initially is going to absorb all the flavors from the shallots and the oil, and that's going to prepare that rice for the proper cooking temperature. Now, this is going to take about, I want to say 2 or 3 minutes. So during that time, I'm going to tell you a little rice story. When I was a kid, my grandmother made one of our favorites. And they were, to us, they were rice balls. Now, the reason they explained it that way was because they always talked to us kids in English. The only time they talked Italian around us is when they were mad and they were talking to each other and they didn't really want us to understand what was going on. So we knew that one of our favorite prepared meals were rice balls. They are known today to the dining enthusiasts as arancinis, which technically in Italian means little orange. Now, what arancinis are is they are basically little, I want to say, bigger than a golf ball, smaller than a tennis ball, the size of a meatball. And they have a little stuffing in them. Sometimes it's meat, sometimes it's cheese, sometimes it's a combination of meat and cheese. Sometimes my grandmother would throw peas in there. And then what they do is they bread them, and after they're breaded, they're deep fried. And then after they're deep fried, notice I'm stirring all the time I'm talking here. That's the key to good risotto. You got to be stirring all the time. So anyway, we're going to get the temperature up a little bit more. You want to be on the medium-high side with this. You can kind of hear it now. So anyway, my grandmother would make a big pan of rice balls when we were kids. And we ate them like they were donuts or candy. And the funny thing was, every time we went on a picnic out to the park or the beach or anywhere we would have our family picnics, our picnics were not like everybody else's. Everybody else was cooking hots and hamburgers. Some people who are a little bit more creative might make ribs or barbecue or something like that. Not us. They brought pans of macaroni and one of my favorites, rice balls. That was at our picnics. So there's a lot of uses for rice in Italian cooking. And it's not just in risotto. But risotto is one of the favorites in every Italian kitchen. So here we're going now. And it looks like this rice is not to the point where it's toasted. And you can tell by the color of the rice. It starts to change color, and you can see that it's starting to firm up a little bit. But it doesn't stick together, and that's because I'm constantly stirring. Now here's where we go. We're about 10 minutes into our process now. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start adding chicken broth. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a ladle at a time and add that. When you hear that sound, all right, that's the happy sound. It sounds like boiling water. And what's happening here is the rice is now starting to absorb that chicken broth. And that little crackle sound that you get, that's exactly what you want to hear every time you add a hot ladle of chicken broth. Now, when I do risotto, it's always chicken broth, not beef broth or anything else. But you could use whatever you want. Now, you can see where it starts to get hard to stir, and you got to keep getting to the bottom of the pan, otherwise it's going to burn. When it starts to get to the point where it's stiffening up, and you can see that you run a trail through the rice, and it's not sticking together, and the liquid has been absorbed, it's time to add more. And here we go, another ladle. All right, and what are we doing? It's absorbing that broth, and they're getting to know each other real well. You can smell it. Now you can really smell it. Okay, now here's where you change it up a little bit. What dish that Big Lou makes doesn't have wine? None of them. Now it's time to add a little white wine to this. How much? About that much. All right. What's the reason for that? The reason is, why wouldn't you add wine? You gotta add wine to everything except for breakfast meals. I don't know if we had wine for breakfast meals. Do we? I don't know.
Mimosas.
Oh, mimosas. All right. Yeah, there. And as that liquid continues to absorb into the rice, we can feel and smell the aromas and the textures that are there. Now remember, this is on medium-high heat, fairly hot. So you got to stay with it. You can't give it up. The best way to ruin your risotto is to walk away from it. We're not walking away. So you're staying right here with me, and we're about 12 minutes into this, so we don't have much to go. We got to get to about 18 and a half minutes, and our rice is going to be done. Now, what we're going to do is, now I'm going to get the heat on this other pan over here. Let it start to warm up a little bit, because that's where the mushrooms are going in a couple of minutes. And we're just going to saute those mushrooms in a little butter, that's all, just to make sure that we can soften them up before they get into the risotto. So look at that. This risotto is absorbing that beautiful broth. Oh, it looks terrific. It smells terrific. Here we go. We got another ladle. Look at that. Got another ladle. Okay. So let's get some butter in this pan over here while we're doing it. Okay? And I talk about this in our book. You got to be organized. You got to have all this stuff at your fingertips. If you don't, somewhere along the line you're going to make a mistake. So here we are, continuing to stir our rice. We've got some butter melting in the pan right now. Waiting to put the mushrooms in. We got a pan of hot stock waiting to go in, one ladle at a time. Mary Jo keeps telling me to stop banging the bottom of the pan and stop banging the spoon on the, but I got it, because I got to keep the rice moving. Got to keep that temperature up so it absorbs all that stock. And just when it starts to look like it's getting to the point where it's drying out, that's when we add some more of that delicious, flavorful, hot, what's the matter?
Hot stock.
Hot stock.
Keep it hot.
That's where all hot stock. This is a hot stock here. We got it moving, 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 moving. Are we ready yet? We're getting there. I'm going to say we're real close. Now, Mary Jo's she's got something else in the oven to go with this. I think she's got some pork or something like that going in the oven, but we're going to see. All right, she's going to take over on the mushrooms right now. Put those in. And I'm going to add another ladle of our hot stock to our risotto. Where are we?
It's so hot.
It's because I'm so hot. You hear that, guys? I'm hot. All right, listen, it smells really good. And we're about 15 minutes into the risotto. Now, what did I tell you it was going to take? 18 and a half minutes. You can time me when this is going to be done. 18 and a half minutes. In that amount of time, about another 3 minutes, Mary Jo's going to get us something to put the risotto in. When we're done to serve it, we're going to have some mushrooms ready to add. We're going to put some cheese into this, a little more butter, perhaps, to give it some flavor. She's throwing some salt and pepper.
Sea salt.
Himalayan sea salt, she's got that. Straight from the Himalayas, I guess. I'm not sure. It was a long trip. She was there. She got it there. I don't know what they charge her though. It's a lot of money, you know. It's going to be a lot more with the price of gas going up pretty soon. That's for sure. Look out for that, huh? Better start buying all your supplies now because everything's going to go up. I think we're pretty sure of that. Oh boy, this is looking really good now. I think we're going to go another ladle of this. You want a little ladle of that in there too?
Just a half a ladle.
She's going to get a half a ladle in the mushrooms. Just to get that working. And here we are, going with the risotto. Getting that. Oh, it looks beautiful. It's getting familiar with each other over here. And there's a lot of them. Now, we started with 2 cups of rice, just so you know. 2 cups of rice, customarily, should feed about 4 people. In this house, it feeds 2 people. We got a half over here and then a 1 1/2 over here. So that's how that works. We do our math a little bit differently. But the good news is, if we don't eat it all tonight, guess what? Mary Jo has it tomorrow morning for breakfast. That's how that works. Pasta, risotto, anything else. How's it taste, honey? We're gonna see how it is. You getting there? What do you think?
Well, it's not my time.
Huh? Need more time?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we need more time. All right, we need a little more time. It happens all of a sudden. But you gotta make sure you gotta taste it in order to see when it's done. That's the part that everybody has to understand. The magic is tasting it to make sure it's done. Sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's 15. Usually it's 18 and a half minutes. We're not quite there yet. We've still got another minute and a half yet to go to hit my mark. Meanwhile, what's happening over here is the mushrooms are starting to go. They're sauteing. The heat's right. And look at that. It's just soaking up that liquid. Every time I put it in, it goes back into the rice. You keep moving it around. And when you stir, you always stir right to the bottom of the pan. Don't ever let anybody tell you not to do that, because that's the most important thing. When you're doing dishes like this, you got to make sure you get all the way to the bottom, because that's what the good stuff is. It's at the bottom. And you keep moving it around so that the heat is evenly distributed on your dish all at the same time. Choosing the right pan to do this in is important too. I mean, this one here is kind of a hybrid. This is like a braising pan, so it gives us a large surface on the bottom, but at the same time it'll hold, an inch or two of product inside the pan. So we got 2 cups of rice. We've got about 2 tablespoons of butter, tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, 2 decent sized shallots, diced. We've got about a cup of grated Parmesan cheese. I like Romano cheese too, so that either one, Parmesan, Romano, or even a blend, that works. I think we're going to go in for another ladle of stock here. See where we are. And the mushrooms are starting to get really ready. They need to just firm up a little bit, create like a little gravy in those mushrooms. So now we've got, I want to say we've probably on the stock, we've probably used about 4 cups of stock, maybe 4 or 5. I want to say you're going to be at around 6 cups of stock by the time you're done, maybe a little bit more. But you know what? It doesn't make sense to short yourself, because then you're going to be throwing water. So I say, get 2 quarts. This is 32 ounces. Heat up 64 ounces. The rest, guess what? You can use it for something else if you don't use it all. Stock, you just got to be careful how you store it. You got to make sure it's stored in the refrigerator once you open it. And then you're good. Look at that. That's starting to really get good there, honey. I think we go for 2 more ladles and we're done. Let's try one more now. Yeah. Let's let that get right. I just got to get something. All right, I'm back. Want to try that one more time?
Let's put the mushrooms in.
Well, try to see how the doneness is on it. I can feel it now, starting to get heavy in the pan. I can feel it. It's picking up all that moisture. Close, one more,
Okay. Probably two more.
two more.
Let's put the mushrooms in.
All right. Mushrooms are going in right now. There we go. All right, now we're gonna mix these mushrooms in. And I can feel it starting to get done now because how it feels in the pan. We keep moving it around, keep moving it around, keep moving it around. And here we go. Oh, it's starting to look beautiful now. Oh, is that looking beautiful or what?
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah, you too, girl. You look beautiful too. All right, here we go. 2 more ladles and we're done. We just have one more ingredient to mix with this. And our perfect, ultimate Big Lou's risotto is going to go on a dish. So now that rice is absorbing that last couple of cups of chicken stock. And you're going to be able to tell the difference when you start to get, it's almost like it doubles in size when you're stirring it. When it gets to this point, it's just all of a sudden you can start to feel the difference in the rice. And it is now risotto, real risotto. Yeah. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. Okay, so now here we come with the last ingredient. This is the coup de grace.
Taste it first.
You ready?
Taste it first. Make sure it's done.
Mary Jo says taste it first. Yeah. A little bit more. Well, what I'm going to do is, it's still just a little bit hard. So I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to give it one more shot of chicken stock. Oh, what the heck. I'm going to give it 3. Maybe 4. Why not? We got it.
No, but you don't want it to
It's good.
be mushy.
It's not going to be, it's definitely not going to be mushy. Because it's going to be perfect. So here we go.
Fill up my glass.
Mary Jo's time for her to fill up her glass. That's right. Here we are. And what did I say? 28 minutes?
18.
Well, it's 28. I guess I was off by 10.
Well, that's okay.
But you know what? Maybe it's the altitude. Maybe it's the attitude. But one thing we've got to make sure is we've got to be right.
Wait a
Okay.
minute. Wait.
Good? Okay, here she goes. In with the cheese. Mo Larry the cheese. Remember that one? Mo Larry the cheese. Oh my God, look at that. This is a beautiful thing. We got Dean Martin singing in the background. It's a beautiful thing. That's amore. Oh, now.
Just like pasta.
I don't know what else to say. Other than, this is risotto. What do you think, Billy? You want to try that? See if it's worthy for the dish.
Delicious.
She says it's delicious. Okay, here we go. It's going into the dish. Ready? All right, everybody. Look at the bottom of that pan. Nothing sticking. Nothing there. No residual. No brown stuff. No weird stuff in the pan. Just a lot of love in that pan. Now, the one thing that we didn't add, that Mary Jo's putting on there right now, and it's in all of my recipes, sweet basil. Right on the top. There you go. Teresa, that's for you.
Sammy.
Sammy, enjoy it. We'll see you next time.